I walked in with 2 iced coffees, hers with almond milk like always, and found her moaning my roommate's name into our sofa cushions. It didn't feel real. The door hadn't even closed behind me yet. My hand still gripped the paper tray, condensation slipping between my fingers. I stood there like a fool, staring at her bare back arched over the couch, while Henry, my best friend of 6 years, grunted like a feral dog behind her. They didn't notice me until the drink tray hit. The floor and the cups exploded, soaking the carpet in caffeine. Aaliyah froze. She turned around slowly, lips swollen, mascara smeared under her eyes. For a second, no one moved, not even Henry. He just blinked like his brain was buffering. Then she scrambled for the blanket, stammering something that might have been, "Nathan, wait, it's not what—" I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't punch Henry's smug, stunned face, though I wanted to. Instead, I walked straight to my room, packed a duffel bag with 3 changes of clothes, and left. Not because I was weak, not because I was hurt, because I needed time to think. I had signed the apartment lease, not her, not him, me. That meant when it came time to renew, both their names would disappear, and one name would stay, mine. They thought they'd get away with it. That I'd just vanish like a broken toy, humiliated and erased. But they forgot who they were living with. I wasn't loud, I wasn't violent, I was patient, and I knew how to burn people down from the inside out. Quietly. Let them laugh. Let them think I was gone for good. I was already talking to the landlord. I wasn't going to lose the apartment. They were. Aaliyah wasn't just my girlfriend. She was the girl I watched grow from the quiet barista who barely spoke above a whisper to the woman who, with one glance, could cut the air in any room. We met 2 years ago on a rainy Wednesday at the corner cafe. She spilled espresso on my laptop, apologized 5 times, and insisted on paying for the repairs. I told her it was fine. She showed up the next day with a new wireless mouse, claiming it was a peace offering. That's how it started. It didn't take long for her to sneak under my skin. She wasn't like the others. At least that's what I told myself. Aaliyah didn't chase status. She didn't post fake laughing pictures on Instagram or drown herself in attention. She was simple, smart, low maintenance in a world obsessed with filters. We were opposites. I was sharp edges. She was soft. I was plans and strategies. She was impulse and feeling. And somehow that balance made us work. At least I thought it did. 6 months into the relationship, she moved in. My roommate, Henry, didn't mind. He even joked about it, saying, "Better her than some random Tinder mistake." I should have noticed it then. The way his eyes stayed on her a little too long when she wore tank tops. The way he always just happened to be home on her days off. I'd chalked it up to coincidence, even when I caught him cooking breakfast, shirtless, while she laughed at something I didn't hear. I trusted both of them. Henry had been my roommate since sophomore year of college. We'd gone through drunk nights, heartbreaks, part-time jobs, graduation stress, and one nasty bedbug infestation. I once bailed him out of jail for fighting a guy who tried to scam him on Facebook Marketplace. He swore up and down he had my back for life. I believed him, and Aaliyah, she felt like home. The way she'd nudge my hand under the table when we ate with friends. How she always folded my laundry but left her own in piles. How she knew when I was quiet because I was thinking, and when I was quiet because I was spiraling. She made my brutal, chaotic world feel manageable. The 3 of us shared a 2-bedroom apartment on the East End. Rent was high, but split 3 ways it worked. Aaliyah had the bigger room with me. Henry got the side room. It was a strange arrangement, sure. Not everyone understood it, but it saved money and we got along. Or so I thought. Looking back, maybe I was too comfortable. I worked late, spent weekends with my laptop more than with her. I gave her space because I trusted her. I gave him respect because I owed him. I let my guard down because the people closest to me were supposed to be safe. They weren't. It wasn't some slow descent into infidelity. There weren't months of warning signs or cold silences. It just happened. Or maybe it had been happening, and I was too blind to see it. Maybe I wanted so badly for everything to stay perfect that I ignored how she'd started showering in the middle of the day, how Henry's hoodies ended up in our laundry basket, How she smiled less around me but laughed louder when I wasn't looking. The day I caught them wasn't the beginning. It was just the moment the truth decided to show its face, and when it did, it didn't just stab me in the back. It stared me dead in the eye and smiled while twisting the knife. Aaliyah called me for 3 days straight after I left. I didn't pick up. Henry sent one message. "Bro, I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to go that far." I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have words, because none of them were enough. I spent the weekend at a friend's studio across town. Bare mattress, no Wi-Fi, heat that rattled like a dying engine, but it gave me what I needed. Silence. I made lists, contacted the property manager, reread our lease. I didn't cry. I didn't sleep much either. My chest ached, but not in the way heartbreak usually does. This wasn't the pain of losing someone. It was the rage of betrayal, and when rage cools, it becomes calculation. My name was the only one on the lease. When renewal came up, their presence didn't matter. I didn't even need to tell them it was ending. I could let them live in comfort for a few more weeks. Let them laugh on my couch, sleep in my bed, steal kisses in my kitchen, while I set the fuse and walked away. And when the day came, when the letter from the landlord slid under the door, announcing that the unit was no longer available for subtenants, only the leaseholder, they'd finally know. I didn't leave. I was waiting. I returned to the apartment on a Wednesday morning. Not because I missed it, because I wanted to see how they looked at me, now that the masks were off. I'd already spoken to the landlord and made sure the paperwork was processed. The renewal was approved, in my name, alone. When I unlocked the door, the smell of bacon and cinnamon hit me. Aaliyah's playlist was playing on low, some soft indie girl crooning about heartbreak and healing. The sound of clinking dishes came from the kitchen. She was humming. She didn't expect me. She froze mid-stir when I walked in. Her hand still held the spatula. She turned around too slowly, like she'd been caught stealing. "Nathan," she whispered. "You're back." I set my bag down. "Yeah, thought I'd drop by, check on my apartment." She flinched. "Your apartment?" I smiled. Not warmly. She stepped forward like the conversation we needed to have had been growing mold between us. "Nathan, can we talk? Please. I know what you saw. I know how it looked. I never wanted to hurt you." I tilted my head. "Then why did you?" She bit her lip. "I don't know. I was lonely. You were working so much. Henry was around and I was stupid. I messed up." "You didn't mess up," I said calmly. "You made a choice." That's when Henry stepped out from the hallway, shirtless, hair damp. He looked at me like I was a ghost. "Dude," he said, "you should have called." I laughed just once, cold and short. "Why? So you two could clean up first?" He had the decency to look ashamed, but not enough to say anything meaningful. He crossed his arms, trying to act defensive. "Look, man, we didn't plan this. It just happened." "Yeah," I said. "I bet." Aaliyah stepped between us. "Nathan, please. I know you hate me. But we've been together for 2 years. I love you." I almost believed her. The way her voice cracked, the way her eyes searched mine for something to cling to. But love doesn't crawl into someone else's bed. It doesn't turn your boyfriend's best friend into a replacement. "You love me?" I asked. "Then why'd you look so alive when I caught you with him?" Her shoulders fell. Her voice shrank. "I thought you'd left me. You hadn't come home in days." "I was working overtime so we wouldn't get evicted." I narrowed my eyes. "Funny how you repaid that," Henry muttered under his breath. "Maybe if you'd been here more." I turned to him fast. "Say that again." He stopped. Smart choice. I looked around the apartment. My apartment. The couch I paid for. The walls I painted. The shelves I mounted. Their shame was now dripping all over it like blood on white silk. "I'll make this simple," I said. "I'm staying." You're not. They both blinked. What? What do you mean? Aaliyah asked. I walked to the kitchen counter, pulled out a copy of the lease renewal, and tossed it onto the table. Her eyes scanned it, slowly, realization dawning like a storm cloud. Wait, she whispered. You renewed without us? I never needed to include you. Your name was never on the original lease. Henry looked panicked now. So what? What happens to us? You have 30 days, I said, already heading to my room. Pack up. Get out. That's what happens. Aaliyah rushed after me. You're really going to kick me out? Just like that? After everything? I turned around, dead in the eyes. You kicked me out the second you let him in. She grabbed my arm. Nathan, I made a mistake. I'm not in love with him. I don't even know why I did it. Because he was easier, I said. He didn't challenge you. Didn't make you think. Didn't call you out on your bullshit. He was just there. And now? So am I. But you don't. Get both! She let go, quiet, defeated. Henry didn't say a word. He knew. He always knew I was smarter, more dangerous, more patient. Aaliyah sat on the armrest, holding her own elbows like she might break apart if she didn't squeeze hard enough. I'll leave, she said finally. But Nathan, please, don't hate me. I know you don't believe me, but I did love you. I just didn't know how to be good at it. I nodded once. Then maybe next time, practice on someone you're not living with. The silence in the apartment after that conversation wasn't peaceful, it was sharp. Every breath I took felt like it echoed against the walls they'd poisoned. At night, I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead. I could hear Aaliyah crying through the paper-thin walls, sometimes muffled sobs, other times gasps like she was choking on the pieces of the relationship she'd shattered. I wanted to shut it out, pretend it didn't matter, but it did. It mattered because I had loved her with everything I had. And she threw that love into the arms of someone who shared a bathroom with me. There's no easy way to unlove someone who's become a habit. I didn't want to forgive her. I didn't want to miss her. But the thing about betrayal is, it doesn't just make you hate the person who did it. It makes you question your own judgment, your own worth. How could I not have seen it? What did I miss? What part of me was lacking? That she needed something more. And worse, how long had she felt that way? It was the smallest things that cut the deepest. Like how she still used the same mug I'd bought her for our 1-year anniversary. The one with the cracked handle she refused to throw away. Or the way her perfume still lingered in the hallway, no matter how long I kept the window open. Or the book she left open on the coffee table, her bookmark still in the same spot. I thought about packing it all up, throwing her things into trash bags, leaving them on the curb like she'd left my trust. But I didn't. Not because I was soft. Because I wanted her to feel every inch of the discomfort she'd sown. I wanted her to walk into that living room every day and see reminders of what she broke. Henry avoided me like I was a ghost. Good. That was smart of him. We shared the same space, but he wouldn't meet my eyes, wouldn't speak unless necessary. I could feel him calculating how to spin this to his advantage. He was always good at making himself the victim. Charming, pitiful, just a guy who got caught up in a situation. But I knew the truth. He hadn't just crossed a line, he'd set it on fire. One night I found Aaliyah sitting at the kitchen table at 3 a.m., nursing a cold cup of tea she never drank. Her eyes were red. Her voice cracked when she spoke. Nathan, I know it doesn't matter anymore, but I miss you. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Do you miss me or the version of me that didn't know? She looked away. Both. I didn't respond. I just walked to the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and left her there in her silence. I wasn't going to console the woman who gutted me, but I couldn't stop the ache either. That ache followed me everywhere. At work, in the elevator, when I caught couples holding hands, when I scrolled through old photos and saw us laughing. in the park, drenched in sun and trust. I wondered if she ever missed that version of us, the one before Henry, before secrets. I wanted to scream, break something, tell her all the things she didn't deserve to hear, that I still cared, that I still hurt, that she'd ruined something rare. But I didn't, because I knew she already knew. The worst part? I could feel myself softening, not toward her, but toward the weight of it all. Carrying resentment like armor is exhausting. It hardens your spine, sure, but it also cracks your soul. I didn't want to hate her forever. I just didn't know how to stop. 2 weeks in, she started packing. I didn't help. I heard her zipping up suitcases, taping boxes shut. The finality of it all hit me harder than I expected. It wasn't closure. It was just quiet. Aaliyah stood at the door the morning she left. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize again. She just looked at me one last time and said, "I hope you find someone who never makes you feel like this again." Then she left. Henry stayed longer. He tried to act like nothing had happened, watching games on the couch, leaving beer bottles on the counter, like he still belonged here. But every day, I reminded him, with silence, with stares, with locked doors, that he didn't. I didn't yell. I waited. And when the eviction notice came, stamped and final, I handed it to him without a word. He read it, looked at me. "You serious?" I nodded. "You really going to throw me out? After all these years?" "No," I said, calm and tired. "You threw yourself out. I'm just letting the door close." He left 3 days later. I was alone. And for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. I thought it was over once they were gone, that after weeks of walking on glass, the apartment would finally feel like mine again. But peace isn't something you get just by clearing out a room. Sometimes it leaves behind ghosts. 3 weeks after Aaliyah left, I got a letter addressed to her. It was from the building's office, and I almost tossed it out without thinking. But my name was still on everything, and I didn't trust loose ends. I opened it. Inside was a complaint form, noise disturbances, unauthorized guests, excessive foot traffic. The report wasn't recent. It was from 2 months ago, filed anonymously. Stared at it for a long time until something started to itch in the back of my brain. Aaliyah never had friends over, not without telling me, and definitely not enough to generate complaints. So who did? I dug into my old texts, found one from mid-March. She had asked me to come home early because she wanted to talk. I never made it. Some last-minute meeting at work. That was the week everything started to shift. When she began staying up later, sleeping less, showering more. When Henry started working from home more than usual. I checked the dates again. Something wasn't adding up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept turning over the envelope, rereading the same lines. Then I remembered, months ago, Henry had gotten into some shady crypto scheme. Always meeting investors, always telling me he needed privacy. I brushed it off back then, just another hustle. But what if it wasn't just money? The next morning, I pulled the building's security logs. As a leaseholder, I had access to all entries. I filtered through the names. Most were neighbors, delivery drivers. Then I saw it. Alice Monroe. Repeated check-ins. Late-night entries. Odd hours. Alice, Henry's ex. Or so he told me. I hadn't seen her in months. Not since that one dinner where Aaliyah kept fidgeting and Alice barely looked at me. I thought they just didn't get along. I was wrong. Alice wasn't his ex. She was never gone, and neither was Henry. He hadn't just been screwing around with Aaliyah. He'd been bringing Alice into our apartment while I was gone. Sometimes the same nights Aaliyah was home. Sometimes the same weekends she claimed to be out with friends. The betrayal wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a circus act performed right under my nose. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about attraction. It was about control. Henry had played us both. He pulled Aaliyah in to distract me. used Alice to fill the void when she wasn't enough. He lived off my name, my apartment, my resources, and turned the people I loved into weapons. He didn't just betray me. He orchestrated everything, and I let him. I sat back in that same chair where Aaliyah once sobbed and looked around the apartment, like I was seeing it for the first time. Every lamp, every shelf, every screw in the wall. I had built this place from the ground up, and I'd filled it with people who chipped away at me until all that was left was anger. That wasn't going to happen again, not ever. The doorbell rang just after 7 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I hadn't been answering texts. I hadn't made plans. After what I'd uncovered about Henry and Alice, I wasn't in the mood for surprises. But something in me already knew who it was. I opened the door, and there she was, Aaliyah. Hair tied up like she'd rushed to get here. No makeup. Hoodie too big for her. Mine, I realized. She must have kept it. Her hands were clenched into fists by her sides. Can we talk? I stared at her. Not angry. Not confused. Just tired. She took that as permission and stepped inside without waiting. I didn't stop her. She walked to the same spot where she used to dance barefoot when we cooked dinner together. The ghost of those nights passed between us. I know I have no right to be here, she said, not looking at me. But I need to say something. You've already said a lot, I replied. Most of it while lying to me. She winced. I deserve that, but please, just listen. I didn't move. I didn't sit. I stood like a wall she had to climb. She inhaled sharply, like she'd rehearsed this 100 times in her head. I was weak. I made mistakes. I told myself what I did with Henry didn't matter because it didn't mean anything. But I know now that's not true. It meant everything. Because it cost me you. I didn't flinch. You cheated. That's not weakness, that's choice. She finally looked at me. You're right. I chose it. But you need to know why. Not for forgiveness. Just so you understand. I don't need to understand betrayal. You do, she said, because it wasn't just about you. That stopped me. What? She hesitated. I thought I was being replaced. I blinked. By who? Henry? No, she said quietly. By your future. That didn't make sense. She took a step closer, voice softer now. You were always chasing something. Promotions, projects, business plans. I was proud of you. But I started to feel like I didn't fit. Like eventually you'd outgrow me. Trade me in for someone who could match your world. Someone who didn't stumble through conversations at client dinners or need your help with rent or ask dumb questions about taxes. I said nothing. I thought, Henry was safe because he was nothing like you. He didn't make me feel small. He didn't have his life perfectly mapped out. Being with him felt familiar, like settling. And I guess I was trying to hurt you before you could leave me. I exhaled slowly. So you destroyed everything just to beat me to the exit? She nodded once. I know it was cowardly. I know I deserve everything you're feeling. But what I didn't expect was that it would break me too. For the first time, she looked like the Aaliyah I remembered. The one who used to fall asleep, on my chest. The one who wrote I love you on sticky notes and left them in my shoes. The one who once cried during a movie because the dog died and then laughed at herself for it. But that girl was gone now. She'd buried herself the moment she chose Henry. You don't know half of it, I said finally. She tilted her head. What do you mean? You weren't the only one he was seeing. Her lips parted. Henry was bringing Alice into our apartment multiple times, even when you were still here. Aaliyah's face turned white. Alice? His ex? I nodded. If you can call her that. She stumbled back and sank onto the couch, like the floor had vanished beneath her. Her mouth trembled, but no sound came out. I walked to the drawer, pulled out the complaint letter, and tossed it beside her. She scanned it quickly. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Because you were too busy crying over the man who manipulated you. She looked up at me, tears welling again. So this entire time, he was using both of us. Seems like it. A beat passed. Did you plan it? She asked, voice shaking. Evicting him like that? Setting everything up behind the scenes? I nodded slowly. Every step. While you two played house on my dime. Something flickered in her eyes. Not anger, not sorrow. Shame. Deep, violent. Shame. I was stupid, she whispered. Yeah, I said. But so was I. She blinked in confusion. I believed in both of you. I defended you when people warned me. I ignored every red flag because I thought love meant trusting without proof. Turns out love needs evidence. I can't take any of it back, she said. I wish I could. You can't, I agreed. But you can leave knowing you taught me something I'll never forget. She stood slowly, wiping her cheeks with her sleeve. What's that? That the people closest to you can ruin you in silence. She nodded once, then turned to the door. Before she opened it, she looked over her shoulder. I loved you, Nathan, even when I didn't know how to show it. I didn't answer. Some feelings don't need closure. They need distance. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I stood there in the stillness, listening to the echo of her departure settle into the walls. The air felt different, lighter, like the weight of months had finally begun to lift. I walked to the window and looked down. She didn't glance back. Good, because I wasn't looking to start over. I was finally ready to begin alone. The apartment was quiet now, and for once the silence didn't feel like punishment. No leftover perfumes, no faint crying through the walls. No footsteps pacing in the kitchen past midnight, just space. Clean, sharp, breathable space. I'd scrubbed every surface, washed every blanket, boxed every memory. I wasn't cleaning because I missed her. I was reclaiming everything they'd touched. It had been 4 weeks since Aaliyah walked out for the last time. 3 since Henry vanished in the middle of the night, probably hoping I wouldn't see him dragging his suitcase past the gate like a thief escaping his own mess. But I saw. I didn't stop him. I wanted him gone. What neither of them knew. What no one knew was that I wasn't done. Evicting them was just the first stroke, a warning, the beginning of something far more deliberate. My revenge wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It whispered through paperwork, contracts, legal loopholes, things I had time and intelligence to master while they were too busy undoing my trust behind closed doors. I'd taken Henry's laptop before he left. Not to snoop, just to check if he had any files tied to the apartment utilities. But what I found was gold, messages, spreadsheets, client lists, passwords. Turns out, Henry had been freelancing illegally through my Wi-Fi, listing services under my name to dodge taxes. Not only that, he'd signed me as a silent partner on 2 startup contracts, which meant any lawsuits, any failures, came straight to me. At first, I was furious. Then I realized I had power, evidence, leverage. I sent copies of the contract, fraud to the State Business Commission, filed an anonymous complaint with his client network, sent a packet to every email on his spreadsheet, attached proof of the fake identity and tax evasion. I even included screenshots. Within days, his accounts were frozen, his PayPal flagged, his clients dropped him like a bomb. One threatened legal action for breach of contract. The IRS came next. The last time I saw his name, it was buried in a forum post begging for advice on bankruptcy law. Aaliyah was easier. I knew she loved teaching yoga. She wasn't certified yet. But she'd been posting on a side profile, offering private sessions for cash. What she didn't know was that her photos, tagged at our apartment, included Henry in the background in more than one. Clients don't like that. Neither does the health department. A quick report, a few screenshots of her making adjustments, to Henry shirtless mid-session, and her profile disappeared. Her page got banned. Her name got flagged on a popular instructor board for inappropriate boundaries. No one would take her on now without recertification and review. I didn't stop there. I mailed her a copy of the eviction paperwork, highlighted in yellow, with a sticky note. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to see what you had. And no threats, no insults, just closure. Because the truth is, I didn't want them to suffer forever. I just wanted them to feel what I felt. Disoriented, humiliated, disposable. I wanted them to look around and realize the damage they caused didn't end with a breakup. It echoed. And when it was finally quiet again, really truly quiet, I sat on the balcony, drank a cold beer, and watched the sun set behind the skyline. Alone. But not broken. People think revenge has to be dramatic. Screaming matches, burning clothes, smashing phones, that's amateur work. The best revenge is calm, clean, executed without emotion, because nothing terrifies a betrayer more than the person they wronged moving on. Better, sharper, unshaken. Aaliyah texted me once more. "Did you ruin everything? Was that you?" I didn't reply. What she lost wasn't just stability. It was access. To me. And no message could change that. I redecorated the apartment, painted the walls a deep slate gray, bought new furniture, minimalist, sharp, my style, not ours. I left, one wall blank, a reminder of what not to let back in. Alice showed up at my door once, nervous, dressed like she wanted me to forget she'd ever existed in this mess. She said she didn't know Henry had been using her too. She said she wanted to explain. I told her there was nothing left to hear, and shut the door before she could finish her sentence. Because healing doesn't mean giving people another chance to bleed you. It means walking away even when they finally want to stay. I started seeing someone new months later. Quiet girl, kind, honest. I didn't rush it. I didn't expect her to heal me. I'd already done that on my own. But she didn't flinch when I told her I'd been burned. She didn't try to fix it. She just listened. That was enough. Henry and Aaliyah became nothing more than lessons wrapped in names. I stopped checking their socials. I stopped replaying the night I found them. That version of me, the version that doubted his worth, that begged for loyalty, that gave and gave. He was gone. What remained was a man who knew better. Because when people show you their character, you don't argue. You believe them, and you act accordingly. So if Aaliyah ever finds someone new, and he asks what happened with her last relationship, I hope she tells him. I lost a man who gave me everything, because I didn't know how to respect anything. And if Henry ever lands another client, another apartment, another friend, I hope he remembers how fast everything can vanish when you treat loyalty like currency. As for me, I don't just live here. I own this place. And no one gets keys without proving they've earned them.